أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Inshallah, I'm just going to make a short video on responding to a very famous allegation, the so-called satanic verse. And I talked before on the same topic, but now we'll give an actual refutation of the issue. These satanic verses come actually from it's an invention actually. It's by some of the Orientalists that have picked some of the doubtful reports that have happened in some of the books of the Muslim Mufassirin back in days, like Tabari and so on. Big scholars, right, who have reported some of these events again and have looked at them, but these people, such Orientalists, have tried to use these events and these weak narrations to try to prove that someone like Satan has interpolated certain verses within a certain surah, which is in our case Surah Najm. And the allegation is that one day the Prophet Muhammad was reciting the Quran, and that Satan came and he interpolated some verses. So the Orientalists will come up and try to cast doubts in the hearts of the Muslims, saying, how come, your Prophet, supposedly protected from God, how come he spoke these verses? So now we're actually going to analyze these events, and we are going to look at whether these things are true or not, because Islam always tells you to check. No matter who said it. It can be the biggest scholar in Islam. It does not matter. It has to check. Anyone has to check these reports and has to make sure that they are true. So we're gonna go and actually go ahead in this. The one thing that I want to say, that some scholars have reported this event, okay? Ibn Jarir and many other commentators, okay, have reported these. Abu Bakr al-Jassan, Ibn Jarir, Ibn Hajar, Hafiz Ibn Hajar, Zamal Khasari, they reported some of these, right, and saying that even though some of these traditions, their links are not good, they say because they come from different traditions, it might have been some truth to it. So even though we respect these scholars, and I mean I'm not even worthy of polishing their shoes, but there have been other scholars such as Ibn Kathir, which is one of the biggest Mufassirin, Imam Razi, Qazi Abu Bakr, Ibn al-Arabi, Alusi, and other ones that rejected altogether, say it's a horrible fabrication by some of the people who were against Islam. If you look at Ghulam, who translates the Ibn Hisham Sirah, he actually interpolates that event from Tabari, and he actually cites that even though it's not part of Ibn Hisham's Sirah. So we're gonna go ahead and actually analyze this, and we're gonna look at the evidence, right? The story goes as we said, right, that some of the Quraysh came and have allegedly was listening to the recitation of Surah Najm. At the end of the surah, because supposedly according to the narrations and what the Orientalists bring, at the end of the surah everyone prostrated and makes sujood, because they said they agreed to what the Prophet said. Basically the satanic verses, in verse 19, when the Prophet ﷺ was reciting, have you then considered Allat and Al-Uzza and Manat, okay, the third, and supposedly after that the verse came from Satan saying that these are highly accepted intercessors with Allah. So then the Quraysh said, wow, Muhammad and us, we agree right now. So they listened to him, and at the end, if you look at the end of the surah, there's actually a prostration mark which comes at verse 62. So fall you down in prostration to Allah and worship Him, right? So everyone prostrated supposedly according to that incident. So now we're going to actually look at this and see whether it has any basis or not, okay, in the light of what all the scholars said, some saying that it's okay, some opposing it, okay, and in the light of keeping, the fact that truth should stand out for it. Okay, basically, none of the reporters except Ibn Abbas is a companion, first of all. There are many discrepancies and variation in its details, so it comes with very different variations. And the wording ascribed to the Prophet ﷺ, okay, praising the idols is different from all the others. There's kind of a few instances. Some narrations narrate that actually it was the Prophet saying that Shaitan put it in there. Also others say that Shaitan was there and he spoke in a voice that the Quraysh heard him. Others say different thing. There was actually someone from the Quraysh who said that just to kind of interpret, just kind of like a suggestion, right? He screamed it out. So we're gonna actually look in a very, very, very easy way. First of all, according to the story, right? According to the story, I'm not gonna go here in the actual revelation too much, but I'll just give the easiest explanation. If anyone needs to see how there's a certain, based on when the verses were revealed, and for example, the verses in Surah Hajj, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about, that never did we send a prophet that Shaitan tried to cast something when he desired, okay, but Allah abolishes everything that he casts, and Allah makes his sign stand, right? So that's some scholars from the Orientalists have tried to use that as well and say, look, haha, see, actually that's this kind of assures what we were saying before, right? This kind of supports it. Basically, we're gonna actually take a very rational look at Surah Najm, okay, to see if this actually happened or not. Could this happen? Keep in mind, there's lots of Quraysh around, right? Lots of Quraysh around, and they're listening to this. Have you then considered Allat and Al-Uzza, okay, and Manat, the third, okay? So they're listening, and now the interpolation should come, right? Saying that, let's just put it in there, right? They're highly, regarded, intercessors with Allah. And now the next verse, 21, after that so-called interpolation, and everyone should read this, it is for you the male and for him the females? That indeed is a most unfair decision, a most unfair division. They are but names which you have named, you and your fathers, for which Allah has sent down no authority. They follow but a guess and that which they themselves desire, whereas there has surely come to them a guidance from their Lord. Or shall men have what he wishes? But to Allah belongs the hereafter and the first world. And there are many angels in the heavens whose intercession will avail nothing except after Allah has given leave for whom He wills and is pleased with. Verily those who believe not in the hereafter name the angels with female names. He's totally rebuking them. So now any person who has any kind of rationale will be like, hold on, there's so many Quraysh there. There's another 20 something verses, 40 verses actually almost, till the end when everyone's prostrating. So many people. So all of a sudden they hear the praise and then the rebuke. Would that fit in there? Let's think about it again. Supposedly the Prophet praised him, and then the next verses, 6, 7 verses, just rebuke, totally bash the Quraysh. You guys are inventing these. You guys are fools. You have no authority of what you're doing. Do you think the Quraysh would have prostrated at the end? Do you think the Quraysh would have waited for another 40 verses and still say, oh, we agree with what Muhammad said? No, he's totally rebuking them. So from a rational point of view, this is just an invented story. It makes no rationale that those verses would have been there. Okay, these verses just made up stories that some people at that time tried to, make up and so on. Now the issue that comes to be is that some people did migrate back from Abyssinia when they heard this event, right? So what really happened? Okay, the actual story that we find in the actual Hadith literature, which is reliable, is that someone, okay, they're all listening to him, and because of the strength of the Quran, and even remember, right, they always say hada sihrun mubin, right, this is just a magic, okay. People used to listen to Quran, they used to be mesmerized by it, and that's what happened. If you read Surah Najm, it's building, and at the end it's asking you to prostrate. So everyone who was there prostrated. So then the Muslims in Abyssinia, they heard it, they thought, oh, you know what, these guys became Muslims, so they came, but it turned out to be that it wasn't. Okay, so this is the whole issue and the incident of the so-called satanic verses. Okay, very easily explained, and even if you look at the actual revelation of the verses, when the rebuttal verse came and when the actual so-called alleged verses came, there's a 6-year difference. Are you telling me that God waited to rebuke Prophet Muhammad after 6 years? Makes no sense. It makes no sense that these verses could have been there. Right there, the next few verses totally rebuke what these Quraysh were saying, or what the Prophet supposedly was saying, praising the idols. If anyone wants to really see a full detail, I suggest Abu Allah al-Mawduri's Tafsir, Tahlim al-Quran. You can find it on the website in English. May Allah protect us from all this, inventions. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.